everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk all about kids books with you guys. Over on my podcast, the Simple Life Project podcast, I talk a lot about reading. I talk a lot about getting involved with books and your kids. Read aloud, let them read, let them listen to audiobooks. So I wanted to show you guys some of the books that we love. These are ages, infant to 5, 6 years old. So let's dive into this list. I'm going to start with the little ones books, and the first one is 10 Apples Up on Top. This is a great one. Another favorite of our families is We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and it's really just such a great book. It's one of those books that I've memorized. So if you haven't gotten this book, get this book for your kiddos. Peekahoo, this is a really fun one for my little 1-year-old. He loves this book, basically talking about all the animals behind each flap. So, fun book there. My 3-year-old loves this book, Some Bugs. He loves looking at all the different bugs, learning about all the different bugs. And then at the end, I'll put this forward, there's a page that shows you all of the different bugs and what their names are. So this book has been a favorite for basically all of my kids so far. Can't really go wrong with Rainbow Fish. Great board book. And we're currently loving this Alpha Block book. It goes through the different letters of the alphabet, and it's just a fun, colorful book to help kids learn their alphabet. We also have the Count-A-Block book. It does numbers all the way up to 100. This was my oldest son's favorite book, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. We love this one so much. Basically, any of the Beatrix Potter books. This one is Jemima Puddle Duck, but we also have in here somewhere the entire collection from Peter Rabbit and the different adventures. So it has the entire series in this treasury. If you guys aren't familiar what a treasury is, it's basically a collection of all of one author's books put into one big book. We love buying treasuries because if we like the author's story, we're usually going to like the rest of their stories, and so I like to buy treasuries as often as I can. So this Beatrix Potter is a classic, and it is a treasury as well. This classic also here is The Little Red Hen. My 3-year-old now, he loves to read this portion of the book where it says, "Not I, said the cat, not I, said the dog." He's memorized that, so he feels like he's reading, and it's just been a really great book for him to feel like he's reading, and he knows the story by heart. Probably, of all of these books, we've probably read this one the most. This is the Richard Scarry Busy Town Treasury. Like I was saying before, this is a treasury, and it has a lot of the Busy Town stories compiled into one book. We've probably read this full book. It's almost 200 pages. We probably read this thing like over 10 times. So the kids love all the stories, they love the pictures, and it's been so worth the money spent. It was like right around $13, brand new, and typically I like to buy my books used, but in this case I bought this brand new for a Christmas present, and it has been so used. So we love this book the most. Classic kid book is Blueberries for Sal, a Robert McCloskey book. He has a great collection. Another Robert McCloskey that we love too is Make Way for the Ducklings. This book is a classic Robert McCloskey book. My kids just, another book they love. We could read this over and over and over. And it's crazy too because it's actually not even in color, but they still love it so much. So we've read this one hundreds of times. They know the story inside and out. These two are probably our favorites from Robert McCloskey. Moving more into like the 2, 3, I've kind of moved that direction, but a little bit older kids is, I better back up actually. The Little Engine That Could, classic board book, love that one. And I think that's it for my board books. Yeah, we can move on to the older kids. So I have to mention Dr. Seuss. He's awesome. We love all Dr. Seuss books. I didn't bring them all out, but we have a huge stack of them. They're all worth getting. Another great one is this golden book, and it's just the classic daddy stories. Amelia Bedelia, good old Amelia Bedelia. This is a classic book. This is a book that my mom saved for me from my childhood, and I passed it on to my kids. The kids love this book. It is kind of like a semi-chapter book with words and pictures, but it is such a great story. And she has more than one, but this is the original. Next up is this Jesus Storybook Bible. This is just a great breakdown of different Bible stories, and it's won so many awards. There's been so many things, good things said about this book, and so I went ahead and got a few, and we just love it. So every story is vibrant pictures and just breaks the Bible stories down in a nice way, but it also gives them enough story to where they can really get more details than just a few lines. So I like how in-depth this goes, but I also love the illustrations behind each story that they present. Another classic is this Little Bear. This is just the original Little Bear. I found this at a thrift shop and I swooped it up. I love thrifting books, especially older authors like the Robert McCloskey, the Beatrix Potter. These are just classics. So if I find these at a thrift store, I grab them up. This book is called Zach's Alligator. It's a really fun story about a little boy who gets a little keychain alligator as a pet, and then it grows into a real alligator. And so it's a really funny story for kids to just see the alligator grow and grow, and really comical. My kids love this story. This is actually a book that I had growing up that my mom saved for us. We have the entire Where's Waldo collection. So this is a great, they're not books, but they're just kind of, obviously everybody knows what Where's Waldo is. Finding Waldo, we have the entire collection, and our kids like to just sit down during a quiet time, try to find Waldo. We have the pocketbook version too, which we take on road trips if they want to sit and look for Waldo, or if we're somewhere at a restaurant, I'll pull it out of our diaper bag and we'll have that also. I'll link that in the description box because that is also really, really nice to have, just a little pocketbook one. But we do have this full collection and it is a hit with my 4- and 5-year-old. I'm going to move on to Julia Donaldson books. They are so great. We actually have the entire set of Julia Donaldson books, The Smartest Giant in Town. We also have The Gruffalo, which is such a cute story, and my kids never get tired of this book. So Julia Donaldson is really great, and let's see if I can find another Julia Donaldson. Oh yeah. Another Julia Donaldson is this Paper Dolls book. Cute story as well. And it talks about a little girl who created paper dolls with her mom, and their names, and just an overall super cute story about that bond. So Julia Donaldson, I would recommend all of her books. If you can buy them in bulk, buy them in bulk. Okay, so one of my kids' favorite books, I keep saying that, but one of their favorite authors is Chris Van Dusen. We have every book possible. Well, I shouldn't say every book possible. We're missing a few, but we've read every single book of his, and we've invested in them. So this is If I Built a Car. He also has If I Built a School. So it shows, it's very inventive. It shows this little boy creating what he thinks would be the best school, and he shows his version of the school and all the different rooms and all the different activities. My kids love this. My husband actually loves this book so much too. He also loves the car one. And then we also have If I Built a House. So the 3 inventive ones. And then Chris Van Dusen also has The Circus Ship, which is a great, cute story with circus animals. And he has Little Truck, Big Island. Sorry, Big Truck, Little Island. This is a true story. Actually, both of these are true stories. You can read a little bit about those in the back of the book. But just overall, such cute storylines. And then my 4-year-old's favorite is this Randy Riley's Really Big Hit. Another cute story. And then Hattie and Hudson. So these are all of Chris Van Dusen's original books, and then he has a few more, but I think we don't have 2 or 3. And then we also love the Mercy Watson series. It's about a pig, and they're more chapter book-ish, but they have pictures on most of the pages, and they're a bit longer. These are not board books. These are almost 100 pages each, but they're such cute stories. This one is Something Wonky Comes This Way, and then we have Mercy Watson Fights Crime. We have a few more, but they're just such cute stories. We'll sit and read the whole thing in one sitting, and my kids want to read it again. So these are really great from Chris Van Dusen. We love him so much. Another one from Chris Van Dusen is the Mr. McGee series. So they have a ski day, they have this camping spree one, they have a few more, but they're such cute illustrations, fun storyline, and overall just a really cute story that has caught my kids' attention. It's really nice illustrations, but also really good vocabulary, really good literature inside of the books, teaching them new words that aren't poor. They have great grammar, so love those ones. Another fun one that I found is this Little Aces, a golf story. So a couple of my kids like to play golf, and it's just been really fun to tie in a storyline to their life. It's very conducive to having brothers playing golf together, so this was a really cute story too. The next one is Ernestine's Milky Way. Such a fun story about a little girl who helps her mama, and love this book. Also this is called The Big Book of Science and Nature. Just basically like an almanac to the different seasons and the different times of year, the weather, in a fun kids format. Some classics here. The Day the Goose Got Loose, Johnny Appleseed, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The board books, Corduroy, this is just a classic board book. The next one is the Curious George series. We love all Curious George books. They have such fun storylines, and so we have probably 10 of these. I brought one just to show you guys what it looks like, but that one is awesome. And then back to our classic too, The Day Jimmy's Boa Ate the Wash. Classic Paddington Bear. They're Mercy Watson from Chris Van Dusen. We have a few more from that. And then this is the Busy Busy World. So this is also a Richard Scarry book, but it's different stories throughout the world. So it's a different country for every page. So this one is Italy. So it talks about an adventure through Italy. It has so many different countries, different cultures. The kids love this one too. This is very close to the treasury that I showed you guys earlier. You're here for a reason. Great, cute story. And then these are more alphabet books. So I have a P is for put, and we have a B is for buckaroo. And it basically goes through the alphabet, letter by letter, something conducive or applicable to the theme of cowboys and or golf. So P is for put. This one talks about a par, has cute little kids in it. So I really like those alphabet books, similar to the Alpha Block storybook. Just another way to get the alphabet in. I love Jan Brett. So this doesn't have a cover on it. I bought this used, but it's called The Mitten by Jan Brett. All of her stories are great. You can't go wrong with them. So if you type in Jan Brett, you will find a ton of stories. This one is such a cute story about a little boy that has a mitten and little animals fit inside of it because he drops it in the snow. Great, just great literature, great storyline. We love this book. Great author is Elsa Beskow. She is a Norwegian author. She has a full line of books. This is one of them called Children of the Forest. The illustrations are beautiful in here, and the literature and the wording is so, so great. Just such good quality. This is just a good quality book. Love children's classics, so I actually found this at a free little library, and I just snatched it up. It basically has, it's called great children's stories, and it has a lot of classics like The Three Little Pigs, or it has The Old Woman and Her Pig, The Three Bears. Just good old classic literature with a lot of words and a lot of great pictures to look at. So I just snatched this up. I feel like so many times now books are just getting dumbed down and the wording isn't great, the grammar isn't great, but you know when you find one of these old books, a lot of the time you're going to get really good high quality stories and pictures. So this is an awesome one. And that probably our favorite from the summer is this Little Pilgrim's Progress. We took about 3 months to finish this book, but it was such a valuable, wholesome read, and it had pictures along the way, but it is a lot of words. So I read this aloud at night to my kids before bed, and it took, like I said, it took me about 3 months to finish it, but it's right around, it's about 300 pages. So this is just like a nighttime story, but they got so much from this book with just little tidbits at night. We'll probably read it again and just go through it again, especially with my 2 younger ones coming up. A little bit into more chapter books. We've been really loving just doing like a chapter at a time at night, and so a couple books that are great are these Magic Treehouse books. The one thing I will say is there's a more Christian-based Magic Treehouse series called The Imagination Station by Adventures in Odyssey. I would probably recommend that over this one. We rent them from the library, and they've been really, really good. These are still great books, but there are certain things in here, terminology-wise, that I don't agree with. But nonetheless, I just blacked it out, and we kept reading it. And so this, for sure, was a really fun story. We also really liked the McBroom's Wonderful One Acre Farm. Really cute book, really, really fun. Literature, listening to the words, they're just quirky family, so this was a definite must-get for a new reader or just somebody who likes to listen to books at night. Henry Huggins, oh my goodness, boys love this one. We got through this one pretty quickly, but just a fun story about a boy and his dog. Mrs. Pigglewiggle. This one is so cute. Just talks about Mrs. Pigglewiggle. I won't get into it, but it's a must-get too. We also really love Beverly Cleary, so The Mouse and the Motorcycle, Runaway Ralph, there's a bunch of other ones, Ramona and Beezus. It's part of the Henry Huggins kind of series, same author, but these little mouse books are also really cute. And then last but not least, Charlotte's Web, a classic book that we totally love. As I was editing, I totally forgot about the Aesop's Fables. Classic stories. We love them. There are so many in this book that we bought, and just a great collection of stories. Actually, I think I found this at the thrift store for $1, so it was kind of a steal of a deal. I also forgot to mention a few other books, such as Goodnight Moon, Velveteen Rabbit, and Miss Rumphius. Those are also a few books that we really, really love that I noticed I left up in our playroom, and I didn't mention that on the video. Last but certainly not least are these Yodo players. I couldn't talk about books without talking about these. We use this thing so often. It is basically a story player. You can get different stories. So this one is James and the Giant Peach. You put it inside the player and turn it on, and it plays the entire chapter book.
She was staring up into the branches with her mouth wide open and her eyes bulging as though she had seen a ghost.
Really easy to use. My 3-year-old can use it. My 4- and 5-year-old use it all the time. Basically every single night after we read, they put a story in and they listen to a story until they fall asleep. And we take these on road trips. We take these, we put these at breakfast sometimes if they want to listen at breakfast. And they have just such a fun variety of stories. We actually have this little story library. Right now it's really jumbled up as far as the order of it. My kids pull cards in and out, but it's been really fun to see how many of these stories they've actually listened to. All of them, which is really cool, all different lengths. Some of them are 5 minutes, some of them are 5 hours. It really just depends on the length of the book. The Roald Dahl series are huge. The Winnie the Pooh is large as well. BFG. Peter Pan is a long one. It's just been such a great addition to reading with our kids, but also having them listen to other voices. Another thing I really love about the Yoto card is you can have this make your own card. So basically I record any story I want to read of any of these books, and I can put it on this card for them to listen on their Yoto player. So I've done the whole entire treasury of the Richard Scarry Busy Town and put it on a card for them to listen to at night. And that's been awesome too, because you can take any story you want and create it into a card. So that is really all that I have for some of our favorite books. Definitely not all, but some of them that we've enjoyed with my kids. And so I wanted to just come on here and show you guys, because on my podcast I talk a lot about reading aloud with kids, and I've had several guests on talking about reading aloud and the importance of it. So I wanted to just kind of put a visual to what I've been talking about, and I wanted to also show you guys these Yoto players. So check these out if you have kids who are into listening to books. These are so awesome. So now I really want to show you guys a fun garden project my husband and I have been working on for the last few days. So I'm going to take you guys out to the garden and give you a sneak peek. We're not done yet. We have a lot of work to do, but it's in the works. Our garden project is finally coming together. We still have a lot of work to do, but we just got this fence put up yesterday, and I'm going to probably paint it white. And we put all of this new gravel in here, and I have to do the entire rest of this RV yard in gravel. We put the weed layer down, and then we put gravel over top. So it's a lot of work, but I think it will look so much better than currently what we have, which is this kind of gross rock weed mixture. So coming into the garden, my husband built 8 garden boxes. So we have 2 thinner ones in the front, and then we have a little bit bigger ones in the back. He also built me this trellis here, kind of an entrance, which I just love so much. And these are the bigger garden boxes. So we have a big row going down this side, and then down this side we actually don't have as much. We wanted to keep it open, these 2 doors. We want to have like a few stones and maybe like a little sitting table or a swing or something back here where we can sit and enjoy the garden space. And so this whole area is kind of a work in progress, but getting the beds in the rock in was so much work, so I'm so excited to have that done. And also the fence, so that is also complete. And then there's a little gate over right here. We have to still fill that gap in, but we can walk right into the flower garden, which is in full bloom, kind of like you guys have seen in the last video. But all in all, just a fun little addition to our side yard. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys haven't, subscribe. I do a new video every other week on this channel. I try to get out videos on food stuff, simple living, book stuff, kid stuff, whatever I'm feeling in the mood for that week. And then on my podcast, it is the Simple Life Project podcast. And this podcast talks a lot about simple living, motherhood stuff, living more efficiently. It's just a fun podcast that airs every other Thursday. So go ahead and check that out too if you haven't already. I will see you guys in a few weeks on the next video.